Glad you're here though, because it is thanks to well, thanks to you, thanks to that last one that we did. That oh fuck. Okay, this is not.
Maybe. Oh, you said thanks to the last one. What?
Yeah, it's thanks to the last one that we did that I came onto this idea, and freaking YouTube is not doing what I wanted to do. Um, it made a whole different live stream. I had it scheduled and everything, but it made a different one. Great. Um, Struggles of being a content creator, I guess. Hold up. So we are also, let's see, now also live on Patreon, and I gotta change everything up. That's what you get when you schedule live streams
No, yeah,
so
I
far
know that.
in advance. I guess I'll fucking delete that one. But yeah, it's thanks to the live stream or the podcast that we did that, and the book that I am reading on Patreon, that I came to this idea really of you know the Berserker and the Ulfhednar really being not just like not just going into a furious trance, but actually shape shifting. Because I was reading about God, Timmy, I love you. He is way too big for this. Love that cat, but not now. But yeah, I was reading in for the Warhammer Pagans book club about the Hamr, about the shapes of man, of mankind that we have, and it kind of reminded me of the Berserker as well, because the shape of our appearance is controlled by our Hamr. The word denotes figure or garment. And especially with a garment one, I was thinking, wait, like Odin is definitely known for his shape shifting powers. The Berserker and the Ulfhednar are said to be, followers of Odin who find themselves in a Odinic trance. Would they be, could it be that they actually shapeshifted? That they truly did become the bear, that they truly did become the wolf instead of just the trance, just the frenzy, if you will. And that is,
Yeah, beyond just
and
PCP strength or something.
yeah. And I
Uh,
thought that was a very interesting idea and something that I would like to explore further.
are we live on YouTube yet?
Hmm?
Are we live on YouTube yet or everywhere yet?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Oh, we're going. We're rolling.
Oh yeah, man.
I wonder, yeah, because Hamyar, because yeah, it said like that the word literally means like yeah, covering or something. But yeah, I wonder if it's also related to literally helmet too. I think might be related to that word as well, because it's got that same idea of like literally like it's just you're literally covering something right this time your head.
Hmm.
Um, Let me see. Yeah, dude, I've got a bunch of stray thoughts. I can spitball random things that I've like come across, and for instance, yeah, as far as your take, the potential of yeah, like literal shape shifting. It's all over human history of like these kind of stories. They're all over the iconography, and in various places across the globe, and yeah, and to entertain it, to go all the way there. Have you heard of Dr. Amon Hillman?
Can't say I have.
There's been a bunch of drama in like the classics world. Where classics, I'm talking about people that read the classics, all the Greek and Roman and blah 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 stuff. And that's essentially where even like the idea of universities come about, right? It's just people learning the ancient classic languages and then translating and like reading all the ancient stuff and being like, huh, is this what they're saying? Like, huh, is this what they're saying? Not unlike what we like to do now, right? We like to read this old Norse stuff. We like to read this old Germanic stuff. And,
Yeah.
try to learn the language, try to get what they're coming at, where they're coming from, and try to just understand our history better, right? And that's like the idea of scholaring and schooling itself is literally something to do with leisure, right? When we have time to sit down, yeah, we want to read about the past, we want to like learn all that deep history stuff, right? And
Yeah.
that's part of like the reward of getting to have the time to do that. And so yeah, in the classics world, there was like this big debate that happened on Danny Jones. Do you know who that is?
Who? Sorry?
The Danny Jones podcast is he's like a little mini Joe Rogan on YouTube, basically.
No, I can't say I'm familiar,
uh,
unfortunately.
Once Zeralath gets here, he'll definitely know about some of this stuff. I bet. So
I hope he'll join us.
he
I
better.
do hope he'll join us.
We talked about doing some Magic the Gathering stream too, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
But yeah, so there was a big debate that happened because Dr. Mon Hillman, this classics guy, who has been he's been studying Greek and ancient Greek, and no, that's his background, right? And also has a like a PhD or master's or whatever in like molecular biology and all this other biochemistry stuff because he's reading ancient medical texts by Galen, and I'm like, hey, going like, hey, there's particular like medical terms and pharmaceutical terms, pharmaco is a very important word, that are up and down this medical literature that you see like in like interesting phrases in the Bible, which is in the New Testament specifically, maybe even the Septuagint too, but specifically in the New Testament because it's written in Greek originally.
Yeah.
And like they had these arguments about, for instance, what's like the famous thing that Jesus says on the cross before he dies?
Wasn't that like forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do?
There is that one. I think there's maybe like one more. Or it's like even after that.
Oh, I want to know. I know of that one. I'm sure there's
You'll
another
hear,
one.
it's my God, why have you forsaken me?
Oh yeah.
So that line only appears in Mark, and then it's kind of like paraphrased in Matthew, and then John and Luke just don't mention it at all. Okay, or they just don't mention that particular line. All they'll say, because what happened to Mark is that Mark's like, so he's up on the cross and it says, and he puts it in quotations, and he says, Elo Elo, sabachthani, and then Mark says, and that means that he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? So he's saying that on the cross Jesus like said something in quotations, and for whatever reason Mark is having to tell you like what it means, right? And then in Matthew, they don't even quote it. He just kind of says it, and then I think in Luke and John, all they say is, and Jesus let out a cry, and then the Spirit left him or whatever. They just don't even say that, my God, why have you forsaken me? And so Mon Hillman's like, yo, in this passage here, they're saying like sabachthani, and like some people argue like, oh, Jesus is saying Aramaic here, but regardless, Amon's like, well, it's written in Greek, and this particular thing, sabah, is related to Sabazius and Dionysus, and this idea of theosobeos, which is like a reverence of God, and then the very next word is chthoni, as in like chthonic, as in like the earth, the ground, which is like where Dionysus is born from, right, from his mother. At least one of the myths, anyway. Yeah, definitely associated with the grain, and he's definitely also an underworld god. Dionysus is also a god that dies and rises, and has to do with like the the moistness of the earth, essentially, right, as a sort of like foil to Apollo, or an interesting mirror. So anyway, they're just arguing. I'm just updating you all, and like this is just stuff that I've been interested in. So people are still arguing about the Bible, about what it's actually saying, and yeah. So Mon Hillman's got a YouTube channel as well. He's called Lady Babylon, And there's another dude. Have you ever heard of a Gnostic informant? Zarlath is going to know
Yeah,
Gnostic
I've
informant,
heard of
right?
him. He recently did a live stream with or a podcast with Tom Rousel, Survive the Jive.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
have
I
to
haven't
watch that
watched that
one.
one yet, but
No, me neither. But I mean, two big brain people from entirely different, points of view. I mean, it should be an interesting one.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, anything. Yeah, it's like it's got Votan in the name. Of course, it's gonna be good.
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
of course, you gotta have it in the name, right?
and so yeah, that's just all the stuff in the classics anyway. But Amon Hillman, so anyway, actually, a Gnostic informant and Amon Hillman used to be like best friends. If you go to a Gnostic informant's old videos, it's him and
Hmm.
Amon Hillman doing videos together all the time. But now they're like not cool anymore. Gnostic informant is way bigger, right? He's like 240,000. Amon Hillman's already he's about 40, 50,000, right? So Gnostic
Mm.
informant's got 200,000 more than him. But Gnostic informants trying to check Amon Hillman where they used to be good friends, and I don't know exactly what happened. But now, yeah, he's trying to like check him all the time when they used to do like really good streams together. Like I'm watching the old stuff, it's like, oh, this stuff's really interesting. And now it's all just like hate back and forth. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, all this drama. What happened in the Bible? What happened in this Bronze Age crap, man? It's an Iron Age. Um, and so anyway, then Amon Hillman does have these other claims and other theses aside from that as
Hmm.
well, since he's been reading all this medical literature and saying like, yo, these Greeks and other people going along back this time have like an understanding of biochemistry that like is like unparalleled, right? Where it's kind of getting into being able to have the humans secrete different things for different usages for psychoactive effects or healing effects and yada yada yada. And you so now extending it back to the Hamanyar, to expanding it back to a transformation.
Sure.
What if there is other biochemistry that we can get the thing or the brain or the endocrine things to do this or that combination with this metabolized MO inhibitor, blah 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 blah. I don't know, but yeah, there could be drink some bear blood and drinks blah 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 blah. I don't know. There could be maybe some weird physiological thing that we find far fetched that is actually more plausible maybe than we give credit to. Because who the heck knows.
Yeah, no, and imagine especially when in a heightened state of consciousness, or of any type of frenzy, that it would be easier to transform. I mean, one of my latest guests on the podcast, Sadhu Da, the video is still to release, I believe. Um, well, like we talked about the really the magic of the East. That yeah, it'll air March 7th, so in a week or two, like a week and a half. And he had these stories about these Thai monks who just by the power of meditation, deep meditation, managed to change themselves physically. Like one could literally sit in a pot of boiling water or boiling oil or something like that, and as long as he was in that meditative state, it wouldn't hurt him. Everything else around him, it would hurt. Like if you put some piece of fried fish in there, it'd fry the fish, but it wouldn't fry the monk. And he himself has experience with that as well. It's a clip that he sent me afterwards that I put in the video of the show. So for all you guys who are interested in that, you should join the Patreon at patreon.com/square and pagans for a week early access. But one of the monks like literally like wrote a spell on him and actually worked him with a freaking machete. And he could feel he could feel everything. He could feel his skin splitting. He could feel the drop or the blood like dripping and all of that. But I watched the video, like it was recorded on video. There was nothing to be seen, like nothing. And he got like it wasn't like light taps, and even with a blunt hatchet or whatever, if you hit hard enough, you'll split something. But like no breakage in the skin whatsoever. But he could still feel it, and that was just through the power of well, symbols, really. Just, a spell written on him, tattooed on him, which, kind of connects to, well, the runes as well. Especially since the idea came from this book, Nightside of the Runes. So it is absolutely possible. You can change yourself through the power of meditation, or some kind of frenzy, like you mentioned, like PCP strength, for example. I mean, that's a thing. Or like, the classic story of a mother who sees her child who's been run over by a car, and like literally through the emotional strength, she manages to fucking lift the car of her child. Like, just, simple woman, like 130, 140 pounds, no freaking strongman whatsoever. So it is absolutely possible. So it makes me think that, in the early days, let's say, when our connection with the gods was much, yeah, purer still, if you want to call it that, it would have been easier, maybe more common, especially for, elite soldiers. Because, I mean, yeah, to see like a bunch of, frenzied dudes wearing wolf or bear skin running at you would be absolutely fucking scary. To see a literal army of, wolves or bears running at you, you would be running for your fucking life. Because there ain't no way you're stopping that.
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, even just and yeah, there's like stories spread out everywhere, that sort of invulnerability type thing, like even I don't know why I'm thinking of biblical stories or whatever, but yeah, like Meshach and Reshach and Abednego or whatever, they get tossed into a furnace, and I bet they're praying, right? That's basically like a chant of some sort, and they essentially are
Yeah.
able to survive this fire, and they'll describe it as maybe it's an angel, but yeah, who knows what other phenomenon that we're not, taking into account here, that's like you've been saying, maybe has been diluted in a way. And um, oh, yeah, and so yeah, let it alone meditate. Okay, so I also have this paper I found. I've been holding on to it because it's actually it. I actually found it due to another reason, and this is just more of a physiological, biological explanation, if you will, of a sort of thing. But it's let me see. Uh, is it cool if I share my screen here?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Here, because it was doing this cool thing where it pops it out. Okay, let's see how this goes. All right. So yeah, I found
Yes.
this paper from a while ago because I stumbled upon this for another reason. Okay, reading ancient Greek stuff. I was reading some Aeschylus. He's a Greek tragedian, and there's a word that I really liked, and maybe it must have been from Abbas the Alchemist. He's another YouTuber that I think he talked about. That's how I queued onto this, but I was already looking into this stuff anyway for other Greek reasons. But yeah, so this word, are y'all able to see my? Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, this word menos
Mm-hmm.
is derived, yeah, from this idea of like the mind, right? But it's also if you notice here in ancient Greek, it's got a bunch of different meanings. Okay, so yeah, kind of mind, but there's also this idea of like anger and extra courage and like power and strength and force and violence. Here's another article, uh, great article from, I think this person's like an actual scholar or whatever, but uh, she just goes into this word more often, right? And talking about, yeah, that in some of these Greek sources that when Achilles or whoever is out in the battlefield, and that they'll feel the power of the god kind of come into them, right? But also it can be overwhelming for them in a moment as they sort of are kind of taking in this like divine power that can sort of be unleashed essentially, right? And yeah, just talking about more of these physiological, biological processes that could be happening here. Uh, yeah, because they kind of describe it as what relating to things of superhuman anger and
Oh.
cosmic sanction, and it talks about down here, just to read, into his heart, which they called thumos, she, Athena, had placed power, or menos, and daring, and she had mentally connected him with his father. This is talking about when she's telling Odysseus' son that kind of about his dad or whatever. This is in the Odyssey, but they also have this exact same sort of thing about in oh yeah, here they are. Here's the Erinis from the
Oh, yeah.
Furies, because this is the line that I like about a lot. But yeah, and so the same thing in Achilles will be described about having his thumos, so it's almost associated with like the heart region, having power being kind of put into it, and even about other scenes in the Iliad, yeah, they'll get Minos from a god, and then they're out there like kicking ass, like Diomedes is he's kicking butt in the early parts of the book, but yeah, I like this line a lot here um from Aeschylus. I'm pretty sure this is where it's going to be from. It is. Oh, here it is. I like this one actually. Yeah, I am breathing Minos and all possible rage, and this is when the Furies are really ticked off that they don't get to have Orestes because they lost the trial, and they're sort of being, yeah. But I just like this idea of breathing Minos, and once again, this like this rage that wants to like pop off. For instance, from old cartoons, when a character gets really mad and they start fuming, they turn red and they start
Yeah,
fuming at
like
the ears, like
literally
steam.
start fuming. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The word thumos is definitely related to the word fume and fuming. And so yeah, it's like,
Oh
oh, that's
shit.
exactly what's happening, right? This uncontrollable rage, that's Minos and your thumos there, right? This uncontrollable power rage that can be, unleashed, and but it can also be devastating, both senses. But anyway, moving on to the first thing I was talking about, this neuropsychological paper, um, anthropological and neuropsychiatric approaches towards understanding Minos in Greek mythology. And it just talks about, yeah, going into all the different occurrences of this Minos, and how it can maybe, talking about, yeah, what is the mindset of actual Bronze Age people, and or when they see people having godly Minos put into them and then like wrecking crap on the battlefield. Are we seeing like a physiological phenomenon, right? Something like you're just kind of saying, like, maybe instead of the meditative version, yeah, it's the full battle ecstasy version. And it goes
Yeah.
into in here in a bunch of the different um, kind of once again, yeah, here they're talking about Diomedes here and all this sort of stuff, excessive Minos and the Phrenes. But where was let me get to the relevant stuff here.
And it's interesting
Um,
that it connects to breath and breathing as well, because it was Odin
mm,
who breathed life in the very first humans. Like it was literally Odin his breath. And yeah.
Athena, likewise, right? We just had a couple instances of Athena doing that.
Yeah.
She's also like a battle god. She's also in some of the myths another spear shaker, which I said in my Gods of Shakespeare video. But she's also in their myth one of the other possible ones that are also breathing life into the first humans.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, just I'll just read a little bit here, but and you'll be able to quickly see, what we're talking about. Anthropological understandings of Minos. It is important to note that for Homeric Greeks, human psychophysical energies were embodiments of natural forces. In other words, the forces governing the physical universe were believed to be similar in quality to those operating in human life. This is probably why, for the Greeks, minds, state of the gods, could be transferred within human experiences. From an anthropological perspective, Minos can be considered a dissociative state, a type of altered state of consciousness resembling a state of hyperarousal, ecstasy, or mania, practiced in many religious traditions. A possible amount of
Yeah.
anthropological studies have examined dissociative states over the last 100 years. These include trance, hypnosis, spirit possession, and ecstatic states. And a lot of these obviously overlap with literature here.
Yeah.
Common element of hyperarousal dissociative states is the temporal detachment or disengagement from ordinary consciousness, sort of like going to sleep, right? Where they're sort of like lying down, and then all of a sudden this bear comes out and attacks people or whatever,
Sure.
which enables the individual to perform with a considerable degree of disinhibition and capacity for contravening social norms and customs. Maybe this will also be like your PCP reaction to or something.
Sure. Yeah.
According to Victor Turner, behavioral disinhibition and contradiction of social norms is intrinsic to the liminal phase of some rituals. However, the liminal phase is temporary. Individuals eventually must return to society, symbolically renewed and expected to maintain the status quo. For instance, in the Volsunga, right, the brothers or whoever, the guys, they put on wolf suits for a while, and it gets stuck and they end up like killing people, but after like 9 days they can take it off and they can go, be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Similar thing, right? Now let me get to the other. Okay. Eliade regards the widespread phenomenon of ecstatic states and their cross-cultural similarities as universal grammar of symbols. For example, members of the Hamad Shah Sufi Brotherhood performs a highly animated trance dance called the Hadra for curling individuals who are deemed to be spirit possessed. Oh, that's not the way I wanted to read, but you get the point. Let me see.
Yeah.
There's other one really in point. Yeah. So just we Roger Eggers gave us that scene in the Northman, so you can kind of see where some of these same things are going on. But by the
Yeah.
time of Greek classical period, the Greeks use a variety of techniques for achieving altered states of consciousness, including chanting, dancing, hyperventilating, fasting, and sensory deprivation. These methods were mainly used by initiates in the Orphic and Eleusinian mysteries. And later, participants allegedly took the hallucinogen koukaon, possibly derived from ergot, LSD, right, in order to
Mm-hmm.
achieve altered states of consciousness. Um, yeah, talk about manifesting your other self in dreams and shades. Let me see. We got some Bacchus here. Got some Dionysus stuff here. Obviously, he's an ecstatic god too. Some people like Gnostic Informative have made parallels to Woden and or Wotan and Dionysus. And so yeah, here's the interesting part: neuropsychiatry, psychiatry. I'm sorry, of Minos. In the previous section, defined Minos as hyperarousal
Mm-hmm.
dissociative state, and here they're just going to going on into essentially all these, you know, they can go into the dopamine and the norepinephrine and all this stuff being able to produce all these neurotransmitters, right? So yeah, going into a state and producing these neurotransmitters, and yeah, who knows if there's like, what if like Wolverine, there is some neurotransmitter that's causing your body to slowly heal, but what if you were gonna like crank that thing up to 11 or something, in a short amount of time? And yeah, maybe you can't like do anything other than heal in that moment, but like that's the point. Um,
I mean, this also kind of connects with the stuff that I talked about with Ashley from Think Change Repeat. The audio version as actually just came out. Like we were, kind of talking about the power of the mind. How much mindset is a factor in so many things. For example, the classic, like one of the examples that I brought up is like how somebody who like has cancer, for example, like there are so many stories that once they got diagnosed with cancer, like they like got the official diagnosis, and it may have been like years of like noticing very very little, like not really getting sick, and like one day they're just like feeling a slight bump somewhere, and they're like, I should like just get it checked out. They get the official diagnosis, and like within months they're gone. And it's like, so what does that do with the power of the mind? Or like a tale that I've heard, I'm not sure how much truth there is, but pregnant women, for example, they don't know they're pregnant sometimes. That happens. And like they go just for like a regular checkup at the doctors. Like they're feeling a little queasy because physiologically things are still happening, and all of a sudden they hear like, oh yeah, it's because you're pregnant. So they come in like with their slim figure and everything, like not showing, and they come out like actually looking pregnant. Or even you know most basic example, the fuck, what's it called again? Placebo effect.
mm,
Like if you just believe that something is working, it is actually working. But then the flip side is like as soon as you're told like, oh, you got the placebo, it stops working and you're back to square one. Because now you know that you didn't take the real thing, but before you believed that you were taking the real thing, therefore making it happen. So the power of the mind is incredible, and the things that I meant before about the Thai monks. That's just through meditation, years of meditation and practice. They manage to like literally change their body, like literally harden their skin and everything. And I found the paragraph in the book Nights Out of the Runes that really made me think that there is something to it. So I would like to share my screen at the moment. Yes. Let's see. Luckily, I found a PDF version. Let's see how it looks. Yes. Okay. Oh. So it says here that powerful magicians can use the Hugar to change Hamr, changing appearance and form during an ecstatic trance or deep sleep. They are releasing mind or soul and leave the body with its appearance. They will instead take on the form of some animal, usually their filgia. This is called to change Hamr. This can be so powerful that other people will believe that they are really encountering the animal that the magician has chosen. So, during an ecstatic trance or during deep sleep, something that you mentioned as well, they will take the form of that animal, of said animal. And yeah, they're talking about powerful magicians, but I mean, to go into this photonic, frenzied state, that is some powerful magic, even if you're not, like an actual magician, and just, powerful warrior. Yeah, and it goes further that I I like this one. It's all about sleep. Like once one encountering a magician in another Hammer usually becomes sleepy and might fall asleep. This indicates that the person is entering the same world of perception as the magician and sees what he is projecting. And of course, Odin, Loki, and Freya are masters of this art. Freya having the falcon, of course, and I like this as well for my witches out there. In later folklore, Freya and her devotees have been turned into witches riding on broomsticks, because the broomstick is originally the tool that female magicians used to enter ecstatic trance. So all of this like really makes me believe, like they're falling asleep, or the one encountering the magician is falling asleep. I haven't heard stories about that, but they they take on the form of their animal, which is usually their filga. Well, if you're a berserker, if you are a an Ulfhednar, like your filga, your spirit animal is the bear, is the wolf. You are a warrior of Odin. So your spirit animal, your filga, would be the bear, would be the wolf. So they would take on the form of the animal. I believe that is in it's close actually in the Norman. The that's a Ulfhednar tribe, and they like kind of have become wolves. Like they are wearing the skin and the claws and everything, but they're acting like wolves. They're behaving like wolves. They fight like wolves. So therefore, you could almost say that they have become the wolf. And that's yeah. The full chapter is of course available for on the Queer and Pagans book club at patreon.com/queerandpagans. If this is something that interests you, do subscribe.
Yeah, I have here from the exact same sleeping encountering. So yeah, from the Viking Way. This is the Neil Price book. It just talks about from Hrolf's Saga Kraka. It just has this thing where this during this battle, this bear comes out and is kicking butt, and then this guy thinks his dude's not out there fighting, and he's like, "Where is this guy?" And he goes to find him, and he's like sleeping in a tent, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And the guy sleeping's like, "Well, I was helping you out there, but I guess I'll come out there and help, like, in this form, but I won't be as useful." So here we go. It says, here's the quote from the actual saga. Um, Hjorvarder and his men saw a great bear advancing in front of King Hrolfr's troop, and it was always beside the king. It killed more men with its paw than 5 of the king's champions could. Blows and missiles bounced off of it as its weight to crush both men and horses in Hrolfr's army, and with its teeth it tore everything in reach, so that a palpable fear spread through the ranks of King Hrolfr's army. And so yeah, then Hjalti goes looking for Bodvar, believing him to be avoiding combat. He finds him alone and apparently unoccupied in the king's tent. Bodvar is reluctant to enter the battle, but eventually agrees with the words, "In truth, I can tell you in many ways I can now offer the king far less support than before you woke me." So yeah, saying that he was in there doing the trance, being the bear. Until this guy was like, "Yeah, you're not fighting out there." He's like, "Yeah, what?"
That's interesting. Like that's projection as well. That yeah.
And that's
Like
definitely
they're actually projecting themselves as the as that that animal, as that field. Yeah.
Yeah, and how does that exactly work? Like I don't even know how that projection phenomenon work. Are you casting it on people's minds? Are you actually projecting the thing itself? Because one we were talking about an actual transformation process, and then there's this other deal where you're like Jedi, mind tricking, yourself out there or whatever, um, like I guess like Luke Skywalker did in the Last Jedi, you know,
Yeah.
um, conjuring something out there that's fighting and doing stuff or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, it says here, like I said, like during ecstatic trance or deep sleep, they are releasing their minds or soul and leave the body with its appearance. So that could mean that it is some form of astral projection in a way. But they would, but then still able to do physical damage. That's
Yeah, exactly.
hmm. Yeah, I do wonder how that would work, because that's like, how do you astral project but still like have a physical body to do damage with, and possibly take damage with? Or would they project themselves into the animal, then perhaps, like becoming the wolf, becoming the bear,
Oh,
but
it says here,
still.
yeah, as soon as Bodvar enters battle, the bear disappears. The implication is clearly that he's been fighting in bear form while his physical body is asleep, like Odin in Ynglinga Saga, or in a trance of some kind. And this is definitely like the scene also as well in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings with the Bjorn guy or the bear guy. I think someone even
Yeah.
connected that name or this possible myth of this person, this bear guy, to a Beowulf as well, maybe as a cognate of some sort.
Hmm. I mean, yeah.
I For any D&D nerds out there, I did some uh I made a there's a third party game called Shadow Dark. It's like now like one of the most popular Kickstarter successes out there, or most popular. Yeah, it was a good big Kickstarter success. It's got a really gnarly aesthetic. It's really clean and simple D&D. I love it. But you're allowed to make third party content for it and kind of publish under its license. and kind of ride some coattails there. So I did a Norse inspired one some years ago, or 2 years ago now, maybe. And I'll just, but I definitely was leaning into the, because you're making character classes and the whatnot. Here's the cover for it, But when you're making character classes, yeah, I definitely lean into all the different Hamyar possible transformations, right? So of course here we got your Ulfhednar, um, as one of the classes. I call it what I call them, like wolf skins, or um,
That's
I
cool.
forget off the top of my head already, but yeah, just showing you the little things that I was interested in this concept as well. Here's your bear skins, as well, and then some of
Yeah.
the other ones that I saw, and this one's definitely a stretch. This next one I show you, um, called Gray Feathers, because someone found there's a line, and it's literally just talking about crows or ravens on the battlefield. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's like someone interpreted as like, oh, but maybe it's like another one of these Hamyar transformations. It's like, because it's like, oh, Gray Feathers, why are you here on this battlefield with your wet beaks of blood, or blah 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 blah, is the line. But I kind of made it a sort of like stealthy saboteur kind of character or whatever, right? Trying to hey, let's maybe not just bears and wolves, but yeah, what if you're doing the raven too? I think I've also heard about shamans in the north trying to, it's good, you want to be the raven, you want to be high, so that way you can figure out where the deer is, so you can go hunting for it, right? uh, get that bird's eye view, so to speak. Another one that I saw that was a potentiality is one that involved a boar. I don't remember the line off the top of my head, but yeah, there's some line that people interpreted as being another potential, uh, yeah, not a werewolf, or not a bear person, but a boar person.
I mean, that's interesting because Freya did, she did like transform her protege into a boar to hide him or her. Um, yeah, she turned, yeah, to hide him. Let's see if I can. Yeah. It just says, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of shape shifting in Norse mythology. Of course, one of the famous stories, one that I always like to tell, is how Loki gave birth to Sleipnir by transforming himself into a beautiful mare. And like, if you can change your body to that extent that you can literally give birth to another being, I mean, that's not just wearing a skin. That is like literally becoming something else. And I keep coming back to the Night Side of the Runes, but I found something else. One of the other forms of man, Oud, which means ecstasy or ecstatically raving. I mean, I'm Dutch, so we do a different kind of ecstatically raving. Um, but yeah, the ecstasy that causes the mind to transcend outside itself. Odrerir, that which causes ecstasy, is the name of the divine mead that symbolically induces the divine ecstasy. It is also the cauldron or chalice where this meat is kept, which is the original grail, the original holy grail, which is the chalice that brings ecstasy. It is the spiritual intoxication of the poets and magicians. But yeah, like ecstasy, ecstatically raving. Ode is an alter ego of Odin, who is a lover of Freya. But yeah, causes the mind to transcend outside itself. So it's all, for some reason, it's all connected to Odin. Or yeah, here, another one, Vart. Certain people can, during their lifetime, send away their Vard, or the double of man, on journeys to other worlds. So we have so many different kinds of bodies, both physical and well spectral, that we can project, like project into something, into somewhere that we can that we can travel with.
I found. Let's see. Uh, oh no, what happened to it? Yeah, because just relating some more parallels, maybe in some other myths. Because yeah, this is still the Viking book, but he's gonna literally talk about some stuff that I'm even mentioning here. But he's gonna talk about divine anger and this Greek word Lyssa. But I might connect it to something else here in a second. Quote. We can take this back further in time and identify the same pattern of behavior in ancient society, though then it was understood differently. The Greek of Homer's time had a clear understanding of the different kinds of psychological motors that they saw as relevant in violent situations, distinguishing between two sharply defined states of mind. On the one hand was the concept of menos, the one we just talked about earlier, a kind of clear-headed decisiveness characterized by a coldly ruthless and methodical way of fighting. A prime example of this comes from the Odyssey, in the manner in which Odysseus, on his return home from his long journey, stands his ground and calmly shoots down his wife's suitors one by one. Contrasted to this was Lusa, or wolf rage, a state of ecstatic possession which took hold of a warrior in combat. This combat of sacred anger is important. The connections between the berserk fighting rage and the more modern experiences outlined above will have become obvious, but to this we might add a concept of battle as a consciously ritual, even holy act. And then to talk about, I'm not sure how relevant it is here, but for the what's the other word for werewolf, or maybe the other one that you kind of hear sometimes?
Another word for werewolf?
Yeah, there's like another word that you'll kind of hear.
Yeah, wolf. Yeah, I don't know, wolfman.
Do you remember lycanthrope?
Oh, the lichen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so lycanthrope is like wolf person. So, but in the Greek myth, here we'll shoot over here real quick. In the Greek myth, the first guy that is turned into a wolf is this king of Arcadia. Kind of Dionysus. Arcadia is very Dionysus related because a lot of the nymphs are from there. But Lycon's a king of Arcadia, and he is the first werewolf because he was punished essentially for causing a bunch of mischief here. Where is it? Yeah. The version recounted by Hyginus in his Fabulae is basically the same as that of Pseudo Apollodorus. In Astronomica, Hyginus describes the victim of Lycaon as being Arcus, son of Jupiter, and Callisto, the daughter of Lycaon. Restored to life, Arcus was brought up to be a hunter. His mother was subsequently transformed into a bear. So yeah, we still got people transforming into animals here. Now check it out. Whom Arcus pursued without realizing her true identity. They strayed into a temple where entrance was punished by death. Zeus saved them both by turning them into the constellations Arctophylax and Ursa Major, the Great Bear. So yeah, the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor are Arcus and his mother. Okay, so Arcus is, and once again, and Lycon. Oh wait, I even read the wrong part. I didn't even get to the Lycan part. I just read the other part. Where the heck is it? Good God.
Well, he tested Zeus's divinity by serving him a meal made from human flesh,
Yes.
specifically the remains of a sacrificed boy. Yikes.
Think about it. And he was transformed into a wolf. Yeah, Zeus transformed Lycaon into a wolf. There we go. For this thing, So
Yeah.
it's almost like a Ulfhednar or Berserker gone crazy that is now taken innocent life, and now they're sort of punished in this like frenzy state forever or something like that, And
Yeah.
so
I mean, it's even in the Epic of Gilgamesh, when Gilgamesh jilted a potential lover because she had turned her previous mate into a wolf. So it even goes as far back as the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, yeah. So there must be in this Viking book here, the Neil Price one does talk about maybe there is a natural aggression pattern in all humans. They talk about some World War I and World War II stuff that they learned in pictures of like hand to hand combat, and that there maybe seems to be a natural um, sort of posture in battle, right, where you just bare your teeth, and we kind of just maybe humans just kind of have this natural wolfiness to our aggression
Mm.
patterns or something, So there's maybe something inherent to that or whatever, Maybe that's like why dogs and man are also best friends. There's something a little more deeper to that
Yeah,
relationship or whatever, right?
yeah.
Maybe the dog kind of rubbed on, I don't want to say rubbed on off, but maybe the dog kind of influenced us much as we influenced the dog too, or whatever, right? Maybe we adopted some of its patterns and some of its attributes as we work together to take down bigger, larger, scarier animals or something, or even other humans.
Mhm. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, it is like it's also, of course, in the Volsunga saga, where the character Sigmund and his nephew Sinfjotli, they discover enchanted wolf pelts and don the skins and are transformed into wolves, gaining immense strength and ferocity, but losing their human reason, and they cannot remove it for 10 days, during which they live as wolves, hunting and killing man. So, like, what if you can somehow control that, but by, I don't know, devoting yourself to Odin, by devoting yourself, and going into this well controlled frenzy somehow, because we do see, of course, especially in the that famous scene from the Northman, that there is a shaman, a Odinic shaman present, who leads them into this frenzy. So it is controlled yet uncontrolled in a way.
Yeah, there's definitely a technique because that's what it's all about, right? Just like you read in the Volsunga saga, just like uh, there's some other myth that kind of said the same thing about getting into it, but also making sure you're able to like get out of it and return to society, um,
Yeah,
and making sure that you can actually pilot it successfully.
I mean, the Ulfhednar, they were kind of outcasts already because of what they're doing, and because they feel no remorse, because they're not, like, literally not in their right state of mind when they
Um,
are doing it. So they were kept, I mean, like, quite literally as special forces,
Now
like,
think
very
about
much outside of humanity.
that word special forces. I was going to go into it, because we can start to speculate even some modern implications, right? Because I'm pretty sure. I know you've done some stuff about MK Ultra and all the implications of that sort of stuff, but this is the sort of biochemistry stuff that they're poking and prodding at. I've heard of some of the more horrific stories about people their whole lives have been treated like dogs, like literally lived in cages, and were literally taught or programmed to behave like wolves or dogs, and then to heighten their aggression and also teach them combat skills for this or that thing, right? And so, maybe
Mhm.
there's some other thing that we're not aware of, that we think it's all media and fun, but all of our media is just from history. So like, like, come on.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even, it's a little weird maybe, but kind of connect that to furries. Like, they are sort of, I mean, they're mostly doing it for, well, for lust reasons, but they are still, donning the skin of something else, someone else, their filia, but one that they have created themselves. It is an OC, it is an original character usually, or, I mean, even, it's a different kind of ecstasy, of course, but in the BDSM scene, for example, like, you have those dog masks, and you have people who will literally want you to treat them like a dog, or or worse. Um, but I mean, it's a different kind of ecstasy.
Yeah.
But like how close are the ecstasy of frenzy, of anger, and the ecstasy of sex. That's why it's always said that the best sex you have after a big fight, because everything is so incredibly heightened. The adrenaline is flowing, so you're pretty much, I'd say, like transforming that ecstasy,
Or there's even like a
perhaps.
people explain like electrochemical phenomenon. There's like literally a building up of a charge that needs to be released or grounded or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and I mean, one way is most definitely through battle, and the other, I mean, sex is also a really good release.
Yeah, sex and battle, the Viking way, like the two extremes
Yeah,
of your
yeah, right.
ecstatic possibilities, I guess. Um, well, I got to be heading off here in just about 4 minutes here at the top of the hour here, but yeah, this has been really fun, and yeah, who especially considering like I said, Dr. Hillman and his sort of theories maybe about the chemistry of the body and all these secrets of the chemicals that the neurotransmitters and the endorphins and yada yada yada. Who knows? But yeah, with some of this literature to obviously be like, hey man, there seems to be a lot of motifs of changing people into bears and and people getting stuck in wolf forms and blah blah. It seems to be very much like in the zeitgeist or in the substrate of everything here. So yeah, what is the possibility? How far fetched we want to get? Look, we got lasers in the sky. We're talking here on like magic crystals anyway, right? We got magic crystals arranged in magic stone box that can somehow like send signal. Like, who you telling me there can't be like wolfmen people?
Yeah,
Like, get out of town.
I mean, that's like, any technology sufficient enough is almost indistinguishable from magic. So yeah, I mean, our ancestors, if they are looking down at us, they would have no idea like what kind of magic this is. Like we're projecting ourselves on a screen, talking to each other on this screen pretty much through, like in pretty much real time, and like understanding each other very very clearly, like almost if as if we would actually, if I would literally sit in front of you or next to you, just by the power of, like, I don't know, electricity and, yeah, crystals aligned in the perfect order, precious metals aligned in a perfect order, plugged into something that has all these crystals in it, and through that charge, we are able to do this. This is, fucking magic, really.
Yeah, I was even talking about Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. They are the Big Dipper and Little Dipper. Sometimes like to call them the Woden's wheel too. How it does that particular pattern around the pole star. Okay, the pole star is like the one star that doesn't move. I don't know how you explain that if we're on that globe model. I'm not trying to pitch anything, but I don't understand how you can do time lapse. And shouldn't that point be doing this? Instead, it's doing that. It stays still. Why does it do that? I don't get it. If we're doing on an axis, it should be doing this, right? It shouldn't be. It should never be
Yeah.
still. It doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. And so, regardless, and it didn't do time lapse long enough, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But regardless, the tail of the little bear, I think it is what it is the pole star. Okay, that's why it does that little wagon wheel sort of spin around it. But the Greeks all so it's called Polaris, pole star, of course. Stella Mary, but it's also Stella Maris, sorry, but it's also called, the Greeks apparently called it the Phoenician star, because apparently the Phoenicians were obviously the ones that were ahead of the game. Not only we're communicating with their alphabet right now, basically, right? We're communicating in their systems. And so yeah, they were ahead of the game. They're the best maritime people of the age, going from the Bronze into the Iron Age. They have outposts everywhere. They're all the way from the far eastern Levant area, right? And yeah, somehow they've got places in North Africa. They got Carthage. You got places all the way over in Spain and everywhere, right? And even like North Italy. Maybe they might even be cool with the Etruscans. Apparently, they might have a lot of relations with the Etruscans, which is like way out of the way. Okay, so but yeah, so the Phoenicians, uh, I read this like interesting article where this guy was postulating like, hey, not only do they have like the best star system, not only do they really need it because they're traveling around and they must have gotten this, they must have a technology for star navigation, right? And they apparently everyone's
Yeah.
sometimes even crediting them with a lot of that stuff. And so, and that's even why the Greeks called the pole star the best navigatable star there is, the Phoenician star, right? Because it's like, yo, those dudes that taught us how to do that stuff. Yeah, that's the star that they said it was. Um, but oh, what was I saying about all this whole thing? Oh, because we're talking about technology and magic, okay? This person was
Yeah.
speculating that, yeah, did they have like a very rudimentary compass of some sort? And it's actually not that hard to create. You just need a lodestone. You just need a electrically charged stone of some sort. And he related this story from like the 12th century, right? So it's a little after the Phoenicians' time period. But once again, this technology is so simple. And he just talked about this Indian explorer in the 12th century hanging out the Arabian desert, which connects to the Phoenician coast right there, okay? And he was hanging out with these like, Bedouin camel dweller people, and he asked like, "Oh, how do y'all navigate the desert?" Blah 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 blah. And he showed him this he got a bucket and he got a reed, and then he stuck like a needle through the reed, so it kind of looks like a cross. So you got a reed and a little metal pin or thin metal thing to make this cross shape. He put it on top of the bucket of water, and he had this stone, right? This like just a basic magnetic stone that they found, or whatever, right? And he just kind of like did this clockwise and back clockwise. So he did some sort of motion around this little needle and reed on this bucket of water. And since it's magnetic, it would kind of like spin the thing around, and then he lifted it up, and then the needle pointed north. So if you have your needle pointing north, which is, once again, all you need was a bucket of water, a metal needle, a piece of reed, and a magnetic rock, boom, he was
Yeah.
able to make a compass with that. So combined with your astronomical knowledge, dude, you're ahead of the game. If you got one of these little buckets of water on your ship and you're out in the middle of the Mediterranean and it's like dark as hell, you're like, oh no, are we going the right way? Okay, yeah, do the little thing again. Make sure that we're going this direction, that the stars look still over there, that we're not in some weird gulf, some weird current stream that's blowing us off course or whatever. And boom, yeah, rudimentary compass made from very simple parts. And yeah, so they were like, oh, did the Phoenicians maybe, or give it to these Bedouin people some time ago, or has this technology always been around? And so it's not that crazy to surmise that the best navigators of the maritime empire somehow had something like this to kind of give them an edge. Yeah, it's fun to speculate on. Once again, just yeah, we overthink things as far as how all this communication stuff goes or whatever, right? But yeah, I don't know. Oh, it looks like it's just me. Well, I guess it's still live, even though it's like on his channel thing. I don't know how that works. But yeah, I'm talking about Phoenician basic magnets, all right? Yeah, who knows with all that stuff, and definitely related to. There's also another. There's another point to the Phoenician star bit and why it relates to the bear. Well, one, Arcus, the guy that I mentioned earlier, actually, Arcus is the one who was turned into the little bear, and his name Arcus literally means Arctos, which means bear. So when you say the Arctic, it's like the bear region. It's up there, and Antarctic, literally, away from or opposite of something. Antarctic, that's why it's the southern part, right? But they've both got the Arctos root in there for bear, and it's because of this myth of this dude who was transformed to a bear to save him, and his mom was transformed to a bear, and he almost like slayed her basically. And the guy that was kind of screwing him over, or guy associated with him, was a guy who was turned into a wolf for doing some nasty stuff too. But I forget if there was a weird bear connection to the Phoenician star bit. I know that there is about why that is a thing. Phoenician star. Oh, I know. I have it in I must have it in something else. Because it's actually from the Astronomica, from that ancient Greek thing that kind of has a bunch of mythology about the stars and why they're named this and that. And the Draco star is called this because Athena tossed a dragon up into the sky or whatever, much like how Zeus takes Arcus and his mother and puts them up into the sky. But I don't remember Maybe it's in my other one. I don't know. I've got billions of tabs open, so I'm not able to navigate it right now. But I think that's all I've got. I guess I'm going solo now. I've taken over. I've commandeered his stream here. Oh, I did find it. Nope, this is not it. But that's all right. I hope y'all had a wonderful time. Go check out my channel at Apocalypsis Historia. I'm also here on YouTube. I talk about Odin and mythology and literature and history and conspiracy and a bunch of other wacky stuff. YouTube suggested me how to cook bear steak videos yesterday. Haha, bear steak. Now that'll increase your testosterone, won't it, Tim?
I'm here. I'm not sure why I'm
Hey, he's back. You there?
doesn't want to connect. I've been having some technical difficulties.
I was holding down the fort while you're gone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Thanks for that. I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't want to connect my cam now for some reason. Let's see if this is annoying as fuck.
I don't know if you heard the rest of my my basic compass story.
Okay, yeah. For some reason, it doesn't want to reconnect my my cam, but yeah. Christ. But yeah, you're making good points.
I don't know how much you heard of it before I kicked you off. What is the name of that thing that has that other last Phoenician?
I heard plenty. I definitely heard plenty, but yeah, this probably means that I should be getting off as well. Gonna try one more time to like just reconnect my my cam. Internet's been really spotty lately. Nope, I am not allowed to be on camera anymore. All right. Oh, great. Thanks. On my own freaking channel.
Yeah. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. Anyway, I should be heading off as well. I would like some time with the wife still. So yeah, thanks for joining, man. This has been cool. I definitely got some new insights, and really cool that it connects to all the stuff that you're researching as well. That's awesome. Like it definitely means to me that there is something to it. There has to be something to it. So yeah, thank you to everyone who joined us in chat. Of course, thank you. Thank you, Zarla. Thank you, Flower Forest. Thank you, Young Stitches. Thank you, Timony, who came in later. But you can always catch the replay. And if you want to hear more on this, if you're curious to the full chapter of the Night Side of the Runes, where I talk about the field, I talk about the Hamr. And all of that, make sure that you are subscribed to patreon.com/GreyHornPagans. And if you're in the business of subscribing, make sure to subscribe to Brady if you like what he all the things that he came with. You're gonna absolutely fucking love what he does on his channel. Regular deep dives and everything on just the most amazing stuff and stuff that you never even know was connected. I definitely got some inspiration from it. One of it being this live stream from the stuff that we did with Gothic Odin and all of that, which was that was cool stuff, man. That was cool stuff.
Yeah, glad
And
you enjoyed. Yeah, glad to be a part of the club today and hanging out and talking about a lot of this stuff. And honestly, you could probably pitch any random thing to me, and I'd be like, oh yeah, here it connects to this because I have
I mean, the,
schizopedia or something like that, in my head. So
that's always how it goes with these things, right? It's like, oh, but I feel like this connects, and oh, this connects as well, and oh man, like how does this connect? Oh, damn, it connects like this. It's like all these mythologies, all these you know magicians and magic principles. They all connect some way or another.
yep, indeed. All right, man. Well, it looks like I'm queued to hop off too. So uh, glad to be a part of it. Let me know if you do another one, and I'll try to line up some more of my thoughts like I did today, and have some links and stuff ready to go for y'all.
For sure, for sure. If the inspiration hits, I'll let you know, and we'll do another one. Until then, I'll keep an eye out on the channel. Doing great stuff, and I will catch you later.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, no problem, man. So yeah, without Cam for the of course, right at the fucking end, fucking technical difficulties. My internet has been incredibly fucking spotty. So help me get better internets by either becoming a channel member or subscribing to the Patreon at patreon.com/Greyhorn Pagans. Of course, just liking, sharing, subscribing this stream helps as well. Although the Patreon and channel membership really is what it's at and where it is at, especially on the Patreon, where you can find the book club, bonus material, and early access to all the awesome guests, awesome podcasts that I do and have done over time. Raw and unedited, of course, for the most part, if there are certain, private things discussed. I do edit a little, but mostly unedited, just raw, the whole deal, everything. Um, so yeah, and of course more stuff coming to the Patreon. I gotta make it worth your while. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and do the same thing on Patreon. Do the same thing for Patreon, and I will catch you all on